Okay, this is AutoCAD, and we're going to talk about Paperspace and model space. So here, this is model space, and I know that because I'm on the model tab. Now, Paperspace is down here in these layout views. So it's already set up as an A-size sheet, and if you wanted to change it, it has a setup kind of like your plot manager. So, like, I want to do an A-size and say okay. Oh, I made a mistake. A-size, there's no space in there. So now you can see this just looks like I'm ready to plot something, except it won't plot. You can set this up, and then when you get to plot, all those settings should be there. But I'm just going to take this and identify a few things. So I'm in a layout view. Now that means I'm in Paperspace, sort of. So like here I can look at my UCS icon and I can go, okay, well I know I'm in Paperspace there. But then I have this white line drawn in Paperspace. And you can see there's the part I have drawn in model space. So what is this white line? This white line is a viewport. And we'll get to viewports. But it's essentially just a hole cut into this piece of paper here and looking into the model space. So if I delete it, I delete that viewport and I cannot see my model anymore. So what I'm going to do, I created earlier, I created an A-size title block. So I'm just going to browse for A-size, say OK. Now I shouldn't have to change any of these settings. It should just go right into place. And there I have my A-size. So now if I want to create a viewport, I'm going to type viewport. And I get some choices here. I can have a single viewport, I can have two vertical viewports, horizontal, and you can choose what you want. Most people will just pick one. Well, for what we're doing, we'll do one viewport, and it's a polygon viewport. And I'm going to do that again. Viewports, single, say OK, and I'm going to drag it from this corner to this corner. Now, I can't see all of my part. Now, a lot of times what I like to do is I like to use this area here for things like notes, revision history, detail views, and things like that. So what do I do with this? I mean, it's not like this is a useful drawing, right? Well, first thing I need to do is I need to select this viewport. This is not something I want to print. You don't ever want to see the viewport. So I have a layer that I've created called def points. And if I look in my layers manager, def points is always grayed out. You could make it not printable, like this one here. The construction lines are not printable, but def points is always grayed out and will never print. So that's pretty handy. So if you don't want to see it, you can turn that layer off, but it just doesn't matter. So I'm in Paperspace. This is all Paperspace, and this is a title block. It's a block. It's not attributed. I'm going to have to explode it to edit it, but I'm just going to leave it as is for now. And then here's my model. If you double click in there, I'm in model space, and I can zoom in and out, pan it around, and make changes to it. So what can I do with this? Well, if you come down here, you get some icons that look like the side of a little scale. So like, so I'm in AutoCAD and I want to create an annotative dimension style. You can see there's this little blue, looks like the side of one of your scales you were issued in class. And if I do style, if I was going to create a new text style, there's an annotative text style that you can create. Well, down here, right there, I get some different scales. So 1:1, for instance. So 1:1, I can see that it's not going to fit in that area, right? And I really would like it to fit in that area. So what do I do with that? Well, I want to zoom. I want to zoom. I want to change the scale so that it's something that's going to fit in my viewport, because I'd really like to use this area over here for something else. So I need to zoom this out in some way so that it's going to be to a scale that I like. Okay, so I've got this thing, and one-to-one's not going to work. So one thing you could do, like maybe I want to draw this at half scale. So I could zoom and say like 1 over 2. You can see what I'm doing right here. 1 over 2 XP. That's going to zoom me out to half scale. And look, that fits pretty good. I'm going to be able to do a lot with that. I'm going to have to make some changes to fix my line types and things like that. But now I'm at half scale. I'm in model space, and it's almost ready to print. So as soon as I add dimensions and things like that, it'll be ready to print. So I'm in model space. I can tell by the UCS here. If I double click outside the viewport, I'm back to Paperspace. I can always go back and edit. So like if I were to put a dimension on here, oh, that's kind of crummy, huh? So if I were to put a dimension from here to here, when I go look at that dimension in my layout, it's going to show up. And vice versa. If I'm double click into my model space, if I want to put a dimension, say from here to here, and bring it up, when I go back to model space, in the middle of a command, I go back to model space, it adds that dimension. Now, one thing this will let you do, if I'm in Paperspace, my UCS, if I want to add a dimension from here to there, you can see it's going to let me do that. But look at what happens. Like my text size here is twice the size of that. So that's something that'll be covered in dimensioning and annotative scales. Whether you're in Paperspace, model space, or using an annotative scale to put your dimensions on. So again, this is model space. Down here at the model, the layout is Paperspace, but I have a viewport looking into my model space, and I can make changes to the model space while on my layout. I can also rename my layout to whatever I want. Layout. Most people will use these for like a set of architectural sheets, a set of details, and they may have a string of layouts down here for whatever application you're doing. And that is Paperspace and model space.